Basically, the color, you said it's not coming along.
It is.
Yes, it's coming.
Even the reactions.
I know,
PPT
bro.
लिख सकते हैं ना?
Yes, you can write PPT.
Last time I asked you, correct, said it's not coming along.
No. They accept PPT.
Yeah.
When you check the marking sheet, you will find they do accept PPT. Now the question said why it is important to use an excess of a zinc oxide in this preparation.
ताकि सारा वो
I know the answer said to ensure that all the thing
Yeah.
additions has been used.
So or HCl used up, like example we have, because we are preparing zinc chloride. So we have a zinc hydrochloric acid. When we add an excess of a zinc oxide, so all of this hydrochloric acid will be used up and the solution will turn into zinc chloride. Suggest how the excess of a zinc oxide is removed. How we can remove this? So we can use a filtration.
That is wrong.
Next, we have a barium sulfate insoluble salt. So we want to. Barium sulfate is insoluble salt, so it is prepared using a precipitation reaction straight to aqueous solution. So one of the salt we need barium, and the other salt we need a sulfate.
So why can't we write like acid?
You can write sulfuric acid as well.
तो मैंने देखा था
No. You can write sulfuric acid as well.
या तो आज ज़्यादा करते हैं और मार्टिन सीन करते हैं इसका
No. Barium nitrate is, look. So
sulfuric acid का
So barium sulfate, we want to prepare a barium sulfate. So first salt should have a barium and the second substance should have a sulfate. So if group 1, like all nitrates are soluble, that's why we prefer a barium nitrate. And then group 1, all salts are soluble, so we can use any group 1, like example, you can mention lithium, you can mention sodium, you can mention potassium. Even you can mention sulfuric acid as well, like barium nitrate plus sulfuric acid, because sulfuric acid is also aqueous. Hydrochloric acid, no, because we want a sulfate salt. If it was a chloride salt, then we can just mention hydrochloric acid. But in this case, it's a sulfate salt. So even sulfuric acid is acceptable. I can write sulfuric acid and a barium nitrate. Barium group 2. Next is sodium nitrate is a soluble salt. It is prepared by reaction of acid and alkali. We want to prepare a soluble salt. Soluble salt can be prepared by reaction of acid and alkali. So which acid we should use? Because we want a nitrate salt, so we should have a nitric acid. No, not ammonia. We want a sodium nitrate. This is not correct. We don't need aqueous ammonia here. Because what we want to prepare a sodium nitrate. So we need a nitric acid and we need a sodium hydroxide. Sodium hydroxide. We need an alkali. Alkali, like it should be dissolved. So when sodium oxide dissolves, it will turn into sodium hydroxide. That's why I mentioned sodium hydroxide. An experimental technique used to make a neutral solution. What we call, whenever acid react with an alkali, there's a specific term used for this technique. We call titration. Titration.
There was in speaking exams.
Okay.
Titration.
I'm waiting for your results.
जरा भी ठीक
No, share with me.
How can figure for your name? The person who taught me is Mr. C.
Okay.
अगर हमारे गन्ने मार्क्स आ गए थे फिर आप क्या करेंगे
This one. This question is about a compound that contains phosphorus. Therefore, if you score good marks, yes, I will remember you. Bad marks, I will not remember. So complete the table for a number of the particle in a phosphide ion. So how many electrons are there? Because neutron 31 minus 15, 16. And number of the proton, this is atomic number.
We know you know.
3 marks for free.
We got it.
Next, why the formula of the phosphide ion is P3 minus rather than -2 or -4?
Because
What?
sir,
Hmm.
Because
there
it
is a
was free and because it came free.
It is a group 5. It has
That, I said that's
the transition element going in there and only has 5 electrons in it. So
yeah. You look this answer. You can write. You can mention it has 5 electron in the outermost shell, so it gained 3. That's why it's mine. Or you can also relate the answer with a transition as well, because transition element have variable oxidation state, so it's not non-transition element. That's why it has a single oxidation state. And why it is -3? Because it has already 5 electrons, so it gains 3 electrons. What?
You're mentioning the first point at the end of the second.
Yeah. No. It's I'm saying combined answer.
First point.
So why the phosphide is having a 3 minus? So you can say it has 3 electron in the last shell. Sorry, 5 electron in the last shell.
yes, इसमें सबसे बड़ी
Three electrons have become double.
So it has 5 electron in the last shell. As a result, it will gain 3 electrons. Consider that.
ऐसे फ्री में 4 मार्क्स सारे कैसे पता होता है हाँ
वही मैं वो
Okay, here.
बाकी सीक्वेंस सेकंड है वो उसका तरीका मतलब बाकी
The formula for the calcium ion is 2 plus. Deduce the formula for calcium phosphide. So calcium is 2 plus and the phosphide ion is 3 minus. 3 minus. What is the formula for calcium phosphide? We just cross multiply the valencies. If it 3 will be with calcium and 2 is with phosphorus. Calcium phosphate is an ionic compound. Explain why calcium phosphate has a high melting point. So what is the reason?
Because there is a strong force of attraction between the oppositely charged ions, so more energy is needed to break the bond.
That's my mark in the phosphorus 3 minus.
Okay, show me at the last. I will just see. So explain why calcium phosphate is an ionic compound, why it has a high melting point, because it's strong electrostatic force between the oppositely charged ions, so greater amount of energy is needed to separate the ions or break the bond. So always use this term.
तुम्हारे सही गया तुमको
Next, calculate the percentage by mass of a phosphorus in a calcium phosphate.
एक मार्क तो मुझे फॉर्मूला का
So if you need the mass,
नहीं राइट सर एक मार्क हमें वर्किंग का मिलेगा फॉर्मूला का
showing the masses. Like we need the percentage by mass for a phosphorus in calcium phosphate. So the formula for the calcium phosphate is Ca3.
Mass of phosphorus over mass of compound.
Mass of phosphorus in a compound. Like the total. So if I need the percentage of the by mass for a phosphorus, mass of a phosphorus in a compound phosphorus is 31. And how many are there? 2 of them. So we multiply by 2. Divided by total mass of a compound, calcium is 40 multiplied by 3, plus phosphorus is 31 multiplied by 2, plus oxygen is 16 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 2, 8. So this will be 8. And then multiply by 100. So it's a mass of element in a compound divided by total mass of a compound into 100. What's the answer?
Like how we do for NPK.
बस मैं गलती से पाया
Or the rate of phosphorus.
Yeah. The percentage, it's the same way. So about 20% is there. So mass of element, it's not like the single atom, it's the total mass of element. Whenever you need the percentage composition, it's a mass of element in a compound. Divided by total mass of the compound. I will today solve all the moles question for different parts.
Oh my god.
Sir, I love you. You are the best. East to West, Mr. Zen is the best.
But that's so old. Make a new one. Okay, next is ammonium chloride decomposes when heated to make a hydrogen chloride and ammonia. This reaction is reversible. The forward reaction absorbs the thermal energy. It means the forward reaction is endothermic. So if the forward reaction is endothermic, the backward reaction will be exothermic. Now, an equilibrium mixture is formed when a reversible reaction happen in a closed system. What is the meaning of the closed system? It means, yeah, and the same thing, the particles of a reactant product cannot escape. State what is meant by the term equilibrium. Include an idea rate and concentration. Rate of forward equals to rate of backward, and there is no change in the concentration.
How do you define a
Closed system, a system in which the reactant and the product cannot escape, and there is no energy transfer take place. Like energy transfer take place only between system and surrounding, it loses some of energy. Yeah.
Has no way to scale.
No way to, like closed container, you can say it's there. Now predict what happened to the position of equilibrium when the temperature is increased. So if you increase the temperature, we already know that this is a endothermic reaction. So for endothermic reaction, increase the temperature, shift the equilibrium to the right. So prediction, where it will shift,
Right.
we will say it is right. And what is the reason for that? We will say the forward reaction is endothermic. Predict what happened to the position of equilibrium when the pressure increase. If we increase the pressure, equilibrium will shift towards side of less moles of the gas.
Yes, sir.
No, this is not no change. Look, when you check this, you have to check both. Yeah, we have solid at one side. It means we have 0 moles of a gas here. There's no moles of a gas, and there are 2 moles of a gas here. So I told whenever we change the pressure, equilibrium, increase in pressure, shift the equilibrium towards side of less moles of a gas. So if I increase the pressure, where the here we have 2 moles, here 0 moles. So where the balance will shift, it will shift towards the left hand side, because the fewer moles or no moles of a gas in a reactant side.
Only the solid.
Yeah, it will form a solid. It's like 2 gases are there. Look, you have a system. You have a system in which you have a solid and you have the gases. When you compress this system, the gases come closer and they will form a solid. So this, we have a solid on one side, even there was a liquid on another side, but even one of them is a gas. We'll compare them. So position of equilibrium, where it will shift toward the left hand side. And what is the reason for that? Increase in pressure, shift the equilibrium towards side of less moles of a gas. So we have a less moles of a gas on the left hand side. If this was a reaction, like example, this was solid and this was solid, then there is no effect of the pressure. If it was liquid and liquid, there is no effect of pressure. Even if this was, let's say, solid and this is a gas, yes, there will be effect of the pressure. So even if there is a single mole of a gas, any reactant or a product is a gas, yes, there is an effect of pressure. If all of them are either solid, liquid or aqueous, then there is no effect of the pressure.
So why are you skipping that?
What I skipped? The same, I just answered that.
Why you skip this question?
Hmm?
Why you skip this question?
Skip.
Yes, sir.
What?
Yes.
Predict what happened to a rate of backward when a temperature increase. When we increase the temperature, the rate of backward and forward both will increase. Even this question, if they ask what happened to rate of forward reaction, same answer, because rate of a reaction is directly proportional to temperature, irrespective of the forward or the backward. If you increase the temperature, the rate will increase. Explain. Increasing a temperature increases the energy of the particle, more collision, same answer. More collision between the particle, greater proportion of the particle. Even if it's a backward or forward, it will not make difference. predict what happened to a rate of a backward reaction when the pressure is increased. So pressure also increases the rate of reaction. So again, increasing up even forward or backward. Even the change, like they said, forward, it is irrespective. Like it always increases with the pressure, temperature, surface area, concentration, catalyst. Yeah, more collisions are there, greater number of successful collision.
Why not failure?
More particles in unit volume. For this one, this question is about the energy change that take place during a chemical reaction. Methane react with the chlorine and the reaction is exothermic. Exothermic reactions, the reactants have high energy and the product is having low energy. Axes, what are the labels on the axis? Here we have energy,
No. Yes, sir.
reaction progress.
The one with time.
No, no,
What's wrong with time?
because it's not time scale.
The time will be.
Because the scale, maybe the reaction finished in 2 seconds, 5 seconds. This is not representing the scale of the time. So it's how the reaction proceed, reaction progress. So what are the reactant here? We have the previous part. No, this part. Look, what happened when the temperature is increased? So when we increase the temperature, what will happen? The rate will increase. Because increase in temperature increase the number of collision. Same thing, what happened when the pressure is increased? So the rate will also increase. Because increasing a pressure, there will be more collision between the particles, more successful collision, or more collision in a unit per second. That's why the rate will also increase. So we have the reactant, we have a methane reacted with the chlorine, and we have a methyl chloride CH3Cl plus HCl.
You have to mention the states.
Yes, because it's already there, so you should mention. Then the reactant product is their enthalpy change, the arrows pointing downward, and the activation energy from the reactant till the start of a reaction, that is. But this is not the right way. Like in exam, you will lose a mark if you draw an arrow for any arrow like this. This you will lose a mark. So it should either point up or point down. Don't draw any arrow with the both two direction. Yes.
अगर वो reversible है?
Reversible is this is a reversible.
मतलब
This is a half arrow.
If it's a reversible, it's the opposite. This is exo.
So we have the reactant will be there. We will have the product. Reactants form the product. Energy from start of a reaction, reactant to the product, that is activation energy. And from reactant till the product, that is enthalpy change. Okay. Activation energy EA and the enthalpy change is delta H. Yeah, delta H will be negative, but we just have to label delta H. Hydrogen iodide decomposed to make hydrogen and iodine. Enthalpy change for this reaction. So enthalpy change is a bond breaking minus bond forming. What is the bond breaking energy? You have a hydrogen iodide. So the enthalpy change is a bond breaking minus bond forming. Bond breaking is 2 times 298, which makes 596. The bond breaking. Then the bond forming energy is 436 plus 151. 587. So 587. 89.
Plus 9, sir.
So plus 9 is the answer.
सर प्लस लिखना जरूरी है?
Yes, mention plus. The reason is that so it didn't indicate like exothermic or endothermic. That because because enthalpy change is like a significance of the type of a reaction. It can be exo or endo. Okay, question 7. Methanol, propanol, propane to all are alcohols. The displayed formula is there. State the journal formula of this homologous series. So what is the journal formula for alcohol? CN, H2N plus 1 OH. Propane 1-all and propane 2-all have a same molecular formula but different structure. State the name given to the compound that what we call them as structural isomers. Displayed formula of propane 2-all. Displayed formula means you should show all the bonds and all the atoms. State the name given to that.
Draw the structural formula.
Where? Okay. So structural formula we want to draw.
It's quite wrong.
Propane 2-all is there.
3 carbon.
3 carbon and the OH is attached with the second one.
Wrong, sir.
What is wrong?
It's very wrong.
Okay, yeah, there is no display. So
No display.
there is no display.
Yeah, the structural.
The ferrite display.
Fine.
Fine.
Fine. In O levels, they do accept these small changes, but in A levels, no. If it is written structural, it must be structural. State why propane 1-all is a saturated compound. Because there is no double bond, carbon-carbon double bond. And why it is not a hydrocarbon?
Hydrocarbon is only hydrogen that
Because it contain-
also has the oxygen.
Yeah, एक चीज बोलना ना, इनका oxygen है.
It contain oxygen. Yeah, we have oxygen other than because hydrocarbon means contain carbon and hydrogen only.
It is a saturated because it contains carbon carbon single bond.
Yes, you can say. Or there is no double bond present. Other way you can
Double
provide.
bond.
That specified करना जरूरी है कौन सा bond करें हम.
Yeah. Propane 1-all react in the same way as ethanol. Draw the displayed formula of the product is look acidified potassium manganate is an oxidizing agent. It will oxidize propane 1-all to what? Propanoic acid. So we have to draw the product propanoic acid formula we have to draw. So prop means 3 carbon 1 1 2 3 carbon and then there's C double bonded with O. Yes.
For the saturated compound, we have to mix carbon carbon.
Carbon carbon single bond. Yeah, the best way when they ask double bond, say carbon like unsaturated, say carbon carbon double bond. When they say unsaturated, use carbon throughout the structure. That's it.
I wrote it has
Yeah,
only single
maybe
bond.
that is the structure.
I wrote it only has single bonds and saturated compounds have only single bond. Right.
Draw the displayed formula for product for a reaction when propane 1-all react with ethanoic acid. So when acid react in the presence of catalyst, we use sulfuric acid. Alcohol react with an acid, so it will form an ester. So which ester it will form? The first name of ester is always from alcohol, so propyl, and the second name is from the carboxylic acid, so ethanoic acid. So it will be propyl ethanoate.
Acid को निकला है ester में.
No, I'm saying the first name from alcohol, the second name is from acid. So it will be propyl ethanoate. So we want to draw the structure of propyl. So C double bonded with O and O. The first name attached with oxygen. Yes. Yes. What? So we have prop means 3 carbon and eth means 2 carbon. So this will have 2 hydrogens. This will have 2 hydrogens. This will have 3 hydrogens. So this is propyl ethanoate. Same thing.
Go, sir, you might get.
Methanol is a covalent substance. Draw a dot and cross diagram for methanol. Methanol is what? So first you write a formula for methanol. It is CH3OH. So Carbon is there surrounded by 3 hydrogens. Then oxygen, yeah, I will draw. And then we have a hydrogen. Now carbon share 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Hydrogen share 1. So 1, 2, 3, and this hydrogen also.
Oxygen also share. One here, one there.
Then oxygen share 1 here from here and 1 from here. And there is unshared electron on oxygen.
Yes.
Lone pairs on for oxygen, yes. Why methanol does not conduct electricity? So why? Because if something does not conduct electricity, no free electrons or no ions, no free ion, moving ions. No delocalized electron does not contain free electrons or ions to move. Methanol is used as a solvent. What is the meaning of term solvent?
So which can dissolve a solute.
A substance which can dissolve a solute we call solvent. What is the meaning of the term saturated solution? The solution which contains maximum amount of solute at a given temperature. No more solute can dissolve.
Yesterday, class yesterday.
This question is about electrolysis. This question is about electrolysis. The table shows some information about electrolysis of 3 different electrolytes using a graphite electrode. The first one is a dilute aqueous potassium chloride. So it contains potassium ion, it contains a chloride ion, it contains hydrogen ion and hydroxide ion. Because it is the hydrogen, the positive ion less reactive will move, and the negative ion which is more in the solution, it's a dilute, so OH is more, so OH will move. Whenever OH will move towards the anode, we'll get oxygen, and when hydrogen move towards the cathode, we'll get hydrogen gas.
Oxygen, copper, iodide.
Aqueous copper sulfate. So aqueous copper sulfate contain the ions which are present in aqueous copper sulfate. Which one?
That's one.
No. Just no need for mentioning when we write the element, we don't mention the oxidation number. So we have a copper sulfate, aqueous copper sulfate. So copper ions will move towards the cathode, and hydroxide will move towards the anode, and the solution will turn into a sulfuric acid. And the last one is a lead-2 bromide, the molten. So lead ion will move towards the cathode, and the iodide ion will move towards anode. Electrolysis of aqueous copper to sulfate gives different product when copper electrodes are used. Describe the observation during electrolysis of the copper electrodes with copper electrodes. So if you use a copper, anode and cathode are made up of a copper, and the electrolyte is a copper sulfate. Copper ions are less reactive. The less reactive copper ions will move towards the cathode. So what will happen to the size of the cathode? It will increase. And what will happen to size of anode? That will decrease. Okay. And the solution, the electrolyte won't change its color. No, we don't have to describe the observation. Observation here, one is the cathode size increases, anode size decrease. That's it. Even I cannot say that the solution does not show a color change, because that is not, if anything change happen, that we write as an observation. So size of anode will decrease. No need for this.
So they don't ask give us 10 questions, right? And chemistry paper.
Yeah.
They don't say that. Why did you give us 10
Because you are preparing for exam, that's why.
questions?
Magnesium is manufactured by electrolysis of a molten magnesium chloride. At the anode, the chloride ion react to make a chlorine molecule. Construct an ionic half equation. So when we have a chloride ion, one chloride ion will lose 1 electron, form a chlorine atom. 2 chloride ions loses 2 electron, and it will form a chlorine molecule. Usually in exam, instead of writing -E, they move the electron other side. So they write 2 chloride ion form a chlorine molecule plus 2E. So this is normally this is not wrong, but they write electrons on when it is a loss on the right hand side, when it is gain on the left hand side. Which one? Yeah, electron, yes. Electron has a charge of minus.
2E minus. गलती से मैं वो convert करना
Oxides of a nitrogen, such as nitrogen monoxide, are atmospheric pollutants. The car exhaust gas from a car engine contains 0.002% by volume of a nitrogen monoxide.
इसमें से मैंने
Calculate the number of the moles of a nitrogen monoxide molecule in 960 decimeter cube of a gas. So first what we do, we'll find the volume. First, we'll find the volume of nitrogen monoxide in this exhaust gas. So it is 960 times 0.002 divided by 100. Because we are finding 0.002% of this value.
सर मुझे मैथमेटिक्स याद
So what is the answer? 960 times 0.002?
सही वैल्यू आई थी मुझे कहा
0.0192.
अच्छा it will be 0008 0.0008
0.0192.
नहीं मैं आखिरी आंसर बोल रहा हूँ 0.008 होगा हाँ इसको मैं बस कन्वर्ट करना भूल गया मैं भूल ही गया मॉलिक्यूल्स पूछना
Yes, what's the answer? 960?
0.0192.
0.0192. So this is the volume in dm cube. Okay?
yeah because we calculated it in India
Now we need the moles. How to get the moles here? So moles equal volume of the gas, because it's a gas, volume of a gas divided by 24. So 0.0192 divided by 24, 8 into S power minus 4. Okay. Yeah, 0.0008. The 8 are exponent minus 4. Now, these are the moles. And we know 1 mole of a gas contains this many molecules. So we just take a ratio. If we have 1 mole, no, I can simply multiply. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Even 1 mole, if I have 1 mole of a substance, that is the Avogadro's constant. So I'll just multiply 8 into 10 power minus 4. I have the moles multiplied by the Avogadro's constant, 6.02 exponent 23. What's the final answer here?
It's 4.816 multiplied by 10 power 20.
4.81.
816.
4.82. 10 power 20.
Yes.
So first what we did, from the percentage, we work out the total volume of a nitrogen monoxide. From volume of nitrogen monoxide, we work out the moles of nitrogen monoxide, and we multiply by the Avogadro's constant to know the number of molecules.
One more, what of nitrogen monoxide is 0.0%.
No, not 1 mole. This is a percentage of a nitrogen monoxide in exhaust gas. Yes.
नहीं सर इशारा ब्रेक से ये चीटिंग है पूरी आप मैं
Nitrogen and oxygen, try to memorize this catalytical converter equations. Nitrogen and oxygen react to construct an equation. So when nitrogen and oxygen react to make nitrogen monoxide in the car engine, so what will happen?
and plus
Nitrogen reacted with oxygen to give nitrogen monoxide.
NO2
But its equation must be balanced, so this is a balanced equation. State one adverse effect of oxides of nitrogen. Acid rain,
तो 1 और 10 और 2
because they mentioned nitrogen monoxide.
मैं भूल ही गया
Describe how oxides of nitrogen are formed in the car engine are removed by the catalytical converter.
Nitrogen oxide.
Nitrogen monoxide is reduced.
by carbon monoxide
Oxide.
No, they're not oxidized, they're reduced. This is not oxidation, because what happened in a catalytical converter? In a catalytical converter, the nitrogen monoxide reacted with carbon monoxide to form nitrogen gas and a carbon dioxide. So this is a reduction. They ask how oxide of nitrogen formed in a car engine are removed. So oxides of nitrogen are reduced. No, both of them are not giving oxygen. See, we have NO and it is reacting with CO.
make nitrogen
right?
NO is reacting with CO, so it will form a nitrogen gas and a carbon dioxide. So oxygen for a carbon monoxide become carbon dioxide. So this change is oxidation, because increase in oxygen. like oxygen. This change is a reduction. It's a decrease in oxygen. So how the oxides of nitrogen form in the car engine are removed? So oxides of nitrogen are being reduced by the catalytical converter. No, you cannot say they are oxidized. You have to use the term it is reduced. Oxides of nitrogen
Actually,
Reduced by carbon.
are reduced by reacting with carbon monoxide in the presence of catalyst. I will see it today, inshallah.
क्या चीज़ है?
10 रुपये हुई है, 8 रुपये करेंगे।
बस बात है यार, तुम लोगों की वो कम करती है, मेरी शादी कर देते हैं बैठ के।
Next, rate of a diffusion of a nitrogen is less as compared to nitrogen monoxide. Explain why rate is less. Because it has a greater relative molar mass.
More.
Yeah, greater relative molar mass.
So heavier and.
Heavier, you can say, moves slower. Rate of diffusion decreases as the temperature decreases. Use the idea for kinetic energy. So what happened to kinetic energy? The kinetic energy will decreases. Move slower, or the speed also decreases.
That's why के लिए एक mark दिए.
Yeah, just you have to say. Next is draw the structure of a monomer. Whenever you need the monomer, you just take the, it's an addition polymer, so you just take the first section out of it and place a double bond. This is a monomer. Polypropene is there, is used to make the plastic food container. Name a toxic gas. So which toxic gas? Like some of the polypropene plastic is disposed by burning. Name incomplete combustion. So incomplete combustion, it will produce a carbon monoxide. State other environmental challenges. What are the other environmental challenges caused by the disposal of these polymers?
Sir, global warming.
Yeah, can affect the marine.
Sir, global warming is quite right.
Yeah, release.
So why did my 2 marks get cut in? So इसमें भी 2 mark मेरे कटे हैं.
That is not biodegradable.
Non-biodegradable, yeah, does not.
सर मेरा पेपर चेक करें सर, उसमें global warming.
It is not. It is insoluble in water.
सर global warming सही है.
More space on land. They take more space on land.
Yeah, take greater land area, affect the wild. What?
What are the possibilities?